Welcome back. I'm Pushpak Shah. Today we have Shen Rosenthal, co-creator, co-founder NativePHP Mobile, uh, founder Bifrost, and we also have Pushpak Chhajed, who is working on Laravel Boost and AI things and open source at Laravel. They will give you more info about themselves. First, Shen.
What would you like to know? My name's Shane, co-founder of
Yeah.
NativePHP, workaholic, father to a 16-year-old that dresses like an insane person most of the time. He's very funny. And yeah, I'm into all things tech. I have a pilot license also. Can fly airplanes in the clouds. It's pretty fun. I haven't done it in more than a year because I've been working on NativePHP. So um, yeah, we met in person for the first time in Laracon, India, just a couple weeks ago. That was like the time of my life. I think I posted someplace like I'm battling depression after getting home from that because it was so amazing there. I can't wait to go back and hang out with you guys again. So yeah, that's me. Jigger.
Yeah, I heard that you didn't want to go back.
I want to go
Yeah.
back. I don't need a Laracon to go back to India. I will find another
No,
excuse.
like go back to home from India. So,
Oh,
uh,
no, I'll just move to
Pushpak is
India.
next.
Make India home.
Yeah,
Pushpak is.
so from myself, I'm Pushpak and I work as a software engineer at Laravel. I mostly work on all things open, like all the AI open source stuff which is happening at Laravel, which is mostly about Boost, MCP package, there's a roster and other couple of interesting stuff. And today's topic of the stream has to we just decided to stream it because me and Shane was discussing this, how we can improve the native PHP skill for the boost. And then we decided I haven't tried native PHP before. And Shane just gonna explain how the native PHP works. But at the same time, we're gonna the goal of the stream is to build the skills and the guidelines for the boost. Um, in day-to-day work, I have to basically build skills for the Laravel package, even though I don't work. So I know a set of things which how you should be able to build the skills and the guidelines for any specific package. So I'm just gonna apply those things. If there is any doubts at the same time, we're gonna just pull in Shane to ask him like how exactly we're gonna fix this and all sort of things. So that's the plan. And at the end of this stream, I think we should have a stream. Oh, sorry, we should have a skill or like improved guidelines with us. So before we start, like Shane, I was looking at the current guidelines which you have for the native PHP. They were really good in terms of that. But how like are you guys have any? Do you guys have any framework to measure the impact? Like how exactly is it performing? How is it not performing? I saw into your Laravel India talk, you guys also have that white coding app thing for your native PHP apps. Are you using that same skill to use there, or is it completely different? So I just want to ask you that.
Yeah, good questions. So, to be fair, I have not gone back since V3 came out and updated the Goose guideline, the Goose guidelines, the Boost guidelines. And I know that's something that needs to happen. I spent a few days probably working on those initially, and I worked with a mutual acquaintance of ours, TJ Miller, who said you had worked with him on getting the Boost guidelines for Prism. And so I use that kind of as a reference. And I was just kind of like creating a brand new native PHP app using the Boost guidelines only. And then I would just work on it until I would run into a wall. And then I would delete the app and start over and get a little bit further and get a little bit further and just constantly training that that guideline to be better. And that, I think that was before I looked at the Prism guidelines. So that kind of just reference all the documentation. And so I think everything is still currently just referencing the documentation, but it's referencing the version 2 doc. So it definitely has to be updated at least to that. As far as I'm concerned, I haven't gotten a lot of user feedback from the Boost guidelines. I definitely haven't since V3 came out, but just from my own personal experience, I felt before like I was getting pretty far with it. I felt comfortable releasing it. So I felt like it was doing a pretty good job. As far as Mimi is concerned, the vibe coding app, that is actually currently broken. It is down at the moment. So it is not using, actually, I think Simon spun that up. He's using like a node process instead of, like, this is before the Laravel AI SDK came out. We're going to convert that over to the AI SDK, and we're going to use PHP instead and move it over to, we're using Forge right now for the backend. We're going to move it over to Cloud because we couldn't use Cloud because that doesn't give us access to the node process. But now it's in PHP, or when we get it migrated over to PHP, then we can do everything inside of Cloud, and that will make our architecture, the backend for, you know, all the way that everything is set up, it's going to make that much better. So I'm not really focused on that at the moment. It would be nice if we could just play with it in there and test it there, but that's not the reality that we have today. So
You're on mute, Pushpak.
Yeah, that's good. So the way I test any guidelines of the skills so far is basically the way you mentioned, like basically I started from scratch. I basically installed it like in a blank project and try to get as far as possible in terms of generating basic things correctly. So for example, I will just ask it without the guidelines first, like for example, or without the skills, that how exactly you're gonna implement this specific stuff. For example, with the Prism, can you implement a simple text generation thing? If it's able to implement it without any issues, then I will just gonna look at the history of the model, like what exactly it was struggling, where we could just go and provide the lot much more context about, let's say maybe docs, maybe something else, so that it just don't go into a kind of a rabbit hole to figure out stuff itself. So that's how I was doing it for now. And now we also have a kind of a automated benchmark tool or eval tool, you can say, where we would just like run it for multiple use cases, and then it just tells us that this many test cases have been passed. But I think for this one, I think we should do it normally, and then we'll see how far we could get with the guidelines. Right now we have.
let's do it.
So yeah, and yesterday I was watching stream with Nuno as where he was going through the native PHP app. And honestly, I haven't tried native PHP before. Like this is my first time trying out. So I will be like facing a couple of minor issues as well. So at the same time, we're gonna look at a couple of debugging things, which we should add it as a kind of rules or the guidelines into the main thing. So if AI also feeds them when running it, then you know like what exactly we need to change or we need to do in order to fix those specific stuff. So that's how we're gonna do it. Let me just quickly share my screen so that we can talk about it more. Perfect.
Shout out Nuno, by the way. I think he's in here. I see him in the chat. What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Perfect. So I have just installed a very fresh Laravel application. Nothing. It's a normal Laravel application with the Vue starter kit. I have followed the installation things from this documentation, and I have been so far able to run this PHP native run, and I'm able to get the correct output. In between that, I also faced one issue where in just looking at the docs, I was able to fix that. So we have to kind of add that into the guidelines which you wanna look for. So for now, everything looks good. Currently, there is no boost and nothing is installed. I hope everyone is able to see my screen correctly, or should I just?
For me, could you make the font bigger? Just a zoom somewhere, somehow.
Okay, pause.
I have bad eyes, man. Horrible eyes. 1 year ago, my eyes were perfect, and now I can't see past my own hand.
Is it good?
I'll deal with it.
Okay. So I haven't even installed Boost right now. So we're just gonna run that in another terminal.
Oh, this is gonna be so bad because it's still version 2. But that's what we're here for.
Exactly. So let me just quickly Run this to see if anything gets built or not. I'm just gonna run Composer. It takes a little bit of time to start this shell. Whenever I'm streaming something, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but it most of the time takes time to
It's
basically,
Riverside, not you.
yeah, I don't know what's happened every single time. I just have to click it over here, right? And then I think it's supposed to start anything specific.
So it will start up a simulator. So you chose a simulator there. It will start it up eventually. You don't need Xcode open. You just have to have it installed.
Okay. So we installed the boost.
And you should be aware that if you write comment from our chat, it will not be posted on.
Why it's taking so time? Like it's just so frustrating to see looking at this taking so much time just to run a simple composer and stuff.
For the composer require, just the boost.
Yeah, I think this happens only when I am streaming on the reverse side. Not happens most of the time. Like it's literally instantaneous.
Well, the other thing is the other process that you started is pretty intensive on the CPU as well. So starting up the
Oh, okay.
simulator, my computer usually the fan will come on just starting the simulator on my side as well.
Okay, then
So it's pretty
we're just
intense.
gonna stop it. We're just gonna stop
That's
it
fine.
for now
Yeah.
until the things get sorted out. And maybe we don't require a simulator right now. Our goal is to basically see as far as we could go with the normal application. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna quickly run it. I'm just open Claude quickly to see if we could do anything over there.
I think we can use jump as well. What do you say, Stan? I don't know.
Yeah, we could actually. Yeah, for the things that we're doing today, that would actually work. It should work. Now, that is over the network, and that could slow things down a little bit over your local network, but I don't think that's going to be nearly as intensive as getting the simulator running. So you'd have to install on your phone the Jump app in order to do that.
I think I have already done that.
Okay.
Yeah. Even
that
like
would-
we can show QR code here, and people can also install that app. No, sorry,
No,
it
I
will be
don't
on
think
local, right?
that will work, right? I think it will
Yeah,
only.
of course.
It
Local.
won't work. That won't work.
It won't
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Different network.
In
So
future, maybe.
I'm just gonna run PHP Artisan Boost install. Select all the stuff. Here I'm gonna choose the native PHP mobile. I'm just gonna skip the Laravel 45 guidelines. I don't want the hard MCP. For now, I'm just gonna select the cloud code because that's what we're gonna use to see how far we can go. So the native PHP mobile guideline has been added. So let me just look at CloudMD and search for native PHP. Yeah, this is the guidelines right now. And they are pretty huge in terms of the content which they are using right now. So I feel most of the stuff could actually be moved to the skill stuff. The way we have to decide what exactly we need to keep in the guidelines and what we have to keep this into the skill is basically whatever information is necessary to for the cloud for every single run. For example, like how to run this native PHP application, how do you do any sort of debugging steps, and all sort of stuff needs to be there in the guidelines. And all the other stuff such as how to find the documentation, how to do any specific features of native PHP, that can be actually moved to the skills. So that's the first golden rule of migrating the skill stuff. Like for example, as I can see, the most of the stuff is kind of finding out the documentation, like what exactly is the documentation. And if I just prompt to the Claude that find me the documentation for the native PHP, I think it's gonna probably use it correctly. Let me just try it before running. Let me just see how much context we are using Claude.
I already feel like I'm learning so much.
So I think we have to restart in order to the Claude MD to be get loaded again. So I'm just gonna quickly run it.
I think I installed an MCP server too. I do too many
By
things.
the
I
way,
don't remember what I did.
is there a way that agents can interact with the simulator or something like there are browser MCP like Playwright and Agent Browser or something like that? Then is there something with a mobile development which you can just use it in order to interact with the mobile simulator or something? Like AI agents
No,
can get
actually,
to.
at one point I was working on some commands that would allow. I got it kind of working with Android. That if you had an emulator booted, it would actually start an emulator install, because there's a lot of ADB commands like pushing and pulling, and so you can like take screenshots of the emulator with command lines, commands from the command line. So I was working on that at one point, just because I was like, it was when the Ralph Wiggum stuff came out, and I was like, we need a feedback loop. We need a way to like to tell
Right.
the AI this is what's going on the screen so it can fix itself. And I didn't get very far. It was quite a lot of work actually to get not that far. So no, because it's not using a browser, right? It's a very different paradigm for all of that stuff. It is different. There probably are like a lot of tools already built out, because we're not the only ones building for mobile, right? So I'm sure AI, there's been some improvement on some of the tools for mobile. I just haven't explored that recently.
Yeah. So what I have noticed, if there is some kind of a way to give feedback, like if agents can figure out if whatever they have done is correct, the output tremendously improves. For example, if they are not able to done it correctly for the first attempt, in the next attempt, if they are able to figure it out if their work is correct or not, then like output will be literally 10 times. For this case, if there is not something like that, if agents can write a test and figure out if whatever they have done is correctly implemented. By the way, I wanted to ask if I have installed native PHP mobile application, can I run that application as a web app as well? Or that is not possible only the moment we install the native PHP app?
Can you do what? I'm sorry.
So if I install native PHP into a normal Laravel app, can I still run that app as a web app, or
You
that doesn't
can, yeah.
work?
The difference is when you start using any of the plugins. So
Hmm.
any of the native features you're just not going to have access to on the web app, which is fine. I mean, like for the most part, you're just doing a Laravel application, right? It's really just Laravel until you start doing any of the native stuff, and that's where everything kind of changes. So yeah, I mean, you can. It should work just fine. There's no difference in that regard, but it does. There are some differences when it comes to like iOS inertia development. There's some things that we have to do differently that would break it for the web. Just the way that we have to run npm and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
you can get by with some things, but not everything.
Okay, understood. Understood. So that's fine. Like if we can't use any kind of a browser kind of thing to verify if the agent was not. But I think the taste is something which still I think add much more value. So I think now our memory file is kind of 7,500 tokens, which is almost of the 4% of the context length. So I'm just gonna clear this. It's so damn slow, right? I'm not able to explain you guys. This typing is also very delayed. I don't know what's happening, but yeah. So
Sorry.
so the first thing is the clear difference. What I can feel from just looking at the current guidelines is most of the stuff can be actually moved to the skills. And just in order to how the skill will work, I'm just going to create a new folder here called native PHP skills. We will find a better name for this, but for now, I'm just going to create a new file called skill.md, and just we're going to keep the front matter like this, and we just don't need this, and we need to have PHP skills.
Do you ever have AI crawl like we've got the Claude.md? Do you ever have it crawl that and say, you know, look at the native PHP portion of this and determine which items should be in skills and which should stay in the guidelines, and let AI do that?
Yeah, I think so. That's what we're gonna do it. I was just
Nice.
creating like what exactly should be that. So instead of that,
Gotcha.
there is a better way of doing it. There is a skill called create skills, which I basically run it every single time in order to create a basic skill of it, the first iteration of the skill, and then I improve it on top of it. So how do I do it? Basically, there is a skill creator or something like that. This is a skill which is published by the Anthropic itself. So you can just import the skill and then tell your use case, like when this skill needs to be used, what skill needs to be done, and what exactly it needs to be like changing. So once you import the skill, then you can just Claude will able to do all the stuff for you. You don't have to do it. So what I can do is, instead of letting it figure out, I'm just gonna copy that entire folder.
I love that, by the way. We made a Claude plugin that installs or helps users create native PHP plugins. And to create that plugin, I installed a Claude plugin that helps me create the plugin for people to create plugins. And it was like this infinite loop of like plugins, you know, Inception style. It was crazy.
Yeah, by the way, if you're able to use the plugins right with the Claude, right, you can actually push it on the Boost itself. So if anyone is able to create a plugin of sorts, then they can also be able to use like your plugins. Right now, Boost comes with 2 plugins of sorts, which is like a code simplifier plugin, and another one is upgrade Livewire 4. Basically, if you have only installed Livewire 4, so that way you can also ship the plugins with your Boost app, and then not just the Claude, open code, any sort of things where the MCP prompts are supported, your plugin system can be like just extended to those many agents. You don't have to just limit it to the Claude itself then. But that's also something you could do. So I'm just going to ask it, this is the current guidelines. We want to move it to skill. And the skill we want to move it to is native. Oh, it's not auto-completing. I'm just gonna quickly grab the path of this. It should supposed to auto-complete. And what we are supposed to do this with? Is there something, any documentation we could pass in order to make sure this skill has something to offer?
Well, in what regard, I suppose? What would you want it to do, I guess?
So I want the documentation for the mobile. So like a skill creator will also able to figure out what stuff it needs to add into the first iteration of the skill. So I'm just going to quickly copy the link for this. This is the docs link, and I'm just going to go to the plan mode. Let's see what exactly the first iteration of skill is built by the Claude. I forgot to run it into the dangerously skip permission, so it's going to ask me permission for every single time. But for now, we can create another version of Claude. I want to ask you one thing here. What is the one thing which like very specific to native PHP? The Laravel stuff is something I think it could be built very easily with the Claude if the Boost is installed. But if what is something like the UI and all thing I think could be built with the boost, but what is something which only native PHP should able to interact with? And we might have to check at the code also, like if it has been implemented correctly. So I'm not sure
That
if it's a initial
I'm not sure how
right.
to answer that. So when developing native PHP apps, it depends greatly on if you are Livewire or JavaScript, and it depends greatly if you're Android or iOS. And you can start building with one, like if you choose, inertia view, for example, that's great. That helps solve. There's a lot of answers and things that we want that we can answer. There's a lot of questions we can answer knowing that you're doing and JavaScript instead of Livewire. Livewire is a very different thing, and there's some things that we still have to work on for V4 of Livewire that just doesn't work for iOS specifically. So there's a lot of like really understanding what stack and what device they are developing with is crucial. That's one of the first things that we always need to know.
And how if I am an agent, how I can figure that?
If you're an agent, you could look. I mean, you could either ask the user, like ask the user, or you could just look at the Laravel application, right? So if it's Livewire, you could see if Livewire is installed. And if it's inertia, you can tell it's inertia, and then you can see if it's Vue or React just by looking at some of the code that's there.
No, that's there. I think Boost already will come with that set of guidelines. Like if the inertia app is there, the inertia guidelines will be there. The Livewire app is there, so Livewire guidelines will be all automatically added. What I'm trying to ask is how they will be able to figure out the native PHP specific stuff. For example,
Gotcha. Oh, so what would change based on for native PHP, whether they're on Livewire or and I guess it also depends then if they're trying to develop on Android or iOS, and they can switch back and forth between that. But so if they run the run command, for example, we're going to ask the very first thing when you run the run command is this for Android or for iOS? And it's only going to be one or the other when you're actually doing the run command. Installation is different. That's separate. That's going to put the files in place. But the run is if you choose Android and you're on inertia, for example, you can just run npm run build first. But if you're running it on iOS, you have to pass in this mode of iOS because we have to do some things to update some of the files on our side. So that's a crucial thing. I think that catches out a lot of people. They'll get like a white screen of death on iOS if they don't know this, and then they're searching the docs and they don't even know what to look for. And so I think that's probably one of the first crucial steps is making sure that we pass that in. And I'll just type it in chat so everybody knows. It's npm run build.
So there are a
equals
lot of
iOS.
conditional, what I figured out, a lot of conditional things in order to just add those kind of instruction. Like if this is Livewire, then you should do this. If this is Android, then you should do this. If it's iOS, then you should do it. So all this stuff, I think, should be put it as a part of the skill. Whenever you are building any kind of specific native PHP stuff like a plugin or sort of things, like whatever the native stuff you are trying to build, I think that stuff all would be moved to the skill itself, and there will be section like common pitfalls where you can just mention whenever you are building, make sure this feature is applicable for this feature is applicable for this, something like that. So
Yep.
yeah, that's there. Let it do the complete thing till the time. Let me start this in a dangerously skip mode so it doesn't ask us any permission. So for example, right now, if I'm building something for iOS and I'm currently on a view, what is the one feature we should try to build quickly in order to see how does this work? How the Claude and everything are good at, like if they are good at generating the native PHP specific stuff or not.
Yeah, so I think primarily if it's iOS and Vue, then it's really that command that's initially you have to run that when you are doing a run. So that's one of the very first things that mode equals iOS when you do a run command, right?
And are those commands created in a non-interactive way also, like so that agents can run those commands? Like for example,
I mean,
PHP artisan native run minus minus iOS or minus minus Android, something like that.
so that's just an npm command. So that can happen non-interactive, sure.
Okay. So you are saying that if I just run PHP artisan
No,
native PHP.
no, it's just npm run build. It's npm.
Okay. Bun run build.
No, bun. Oh, so all right. So
Okay.
that's a good thing. Bun. You can use bun locally, but when you go to deploy to Bifrost, we're not supporting that currently in Bifrost. So that's probably a good thing as well. I mean, we should just build out support for bun, or just like have a draw, like a select or something, like if you're using bun or not. But
No.
go ahead.
So there are like this many platform dependency things. So what should we do is until the guys you don't support this in Bifrost, you should definitely put this as an agent. So if my global guidelines or someone is using Bun and they have added this in their global guideline, use Bun or something like that, then agent will just try to run all sort of commands using Bun because into the cloud.md, whatever the npm command we have, they are actually like now bun run dev, bun run build. And whatever the package manager you use, they are like basically switched on top of it. So if I just quickly remove the, where is this bun lock? Yeah. If I
Sure,
just
I
remove
think
the,
Shane is saying like this will gonna work locally, but on Bifrost it is not gonna work. That's it, I guess.
yeah, but that's gonna create a problem. Like if user is trying to ship, right?
Currently,
npm run.
so we're going to be in Laracon EU in a couple of weeks, in like a week. Now it's 10 days. When we get back, that's one of the first things we're going to be fixing. So it might not be important right now for that, but I did just remember something else that we need even before we do the npm run build command.
Okay.
There's a lot involved with all this. I understand. It's actually, we have a Vite plugin that you have to install as well. And that is in our docs, but it is, I tried to find it the other day and it looks like it was moved perhaps. I have to find that again, but there's a Vite plugin and a hot file. So if you're trying to do HMR, either way, then there's a hot file that you have to pass into the Laravel, plugin inside of Vite.
Yeah.
So that should be, I think it's in the basics. Let me look again, because it was kind of concerning yesterday when I couldn't find it where I thought it was. Let me just see here.
So till the time it's able to generate the skill. So I'm still debating the things we have to keep it in here. Like for example, like I totally agree that this is something we should definitely add it. This basic kind of instruction, like this is a native PHP application. The moment anyone app install the native PHP run, and I think this should be like a kind of like important thing so that AI agent doesn't hallucinate it. Where is your notification? It's required. Okay. So for this specific stuff, right, what you can do with the core.blade.php is we provide the way so that package manager can actually figure out what exactly the packages are being used, what types of, so there is, let me just quickly show that as well. So you can just quickly.
Sorry, go ahead.
So if you just create so the way it works, right? You have a core.blade.php file and you are just the normal markdown content over here. So in that core.blade.php, we also inject one helper variable of sorts called guideline assets, so that whoever wants to need information about this app, they can use it. And also the package manager guidelines also can use them in order to refine those guidelines. For example, if the live wire is being used or not, the inertia is being used, which packages are being used, all sort of that stuff. That can be actually also customized here. So here, when you look at this stuff like this native PHP mobile support, instead of saying that this support, you can just be very much more specific about this application use native PHP inertia blade or something like that. Sorry, inertia view, inertia react, or inertia svelte, or at the same time it support live wire blade. You can just very specific so that agent doesn't hallucinate. Like you mentioning two approaches could make agent hallucinate on this could actually make result worse instead of improving the result. And I have seen cases like where sometimes adding extra guidelines, if the guidelines are not correctly added, it will make the result much more worse than what without the guidelines. So without the guidelines, all this current harnesses system can actually able to figure it out uh, much more stuff like just doing the web search or just looking at the vendor folder, how the things are implemented, and then they just try to implement that stuff manually. But if you are not doing that, so you have to be much more specific on how those guidelines are there. So that's the correct, like you should have been able to tell that where the documentations are there. And this is like also very correct before implementing any features of native PHP mobile, use web search tool to get the latest doc. So just for implementing any stuff, like what should we ask Claude to build for any native PHP specific stuff? Like what should we ask it to build?
I mean, do you want to like try building just an app, just some kind of app to test things,
Yeah.
or what?
Yeah, simple app to testing so that we just see how it behaves with the basic guidance so far.
I mean, just getting it like number one booted into a simulator, that is a big win, because once you have that working and then you can do like hot module reloading and stuff and you can see code changes and all that stuff, that's a big win for the developer. I think when they can have that successful moment, they can see the simulator and their code is there and they can make changes and they can see it. That's something Nuno experienced yesterday, and I think that that's a really good first milestone, I think, to get to. So any kind of app, I always do like very simple, like an iOS calculator clone. I don't know why, it's just like the first thing that comes to mind. There's nothing native involved with that. You can start adding native stuff on top of that, like the native. You could do an alert if the answer is 81. 9 times 9 is 80, something like that. Like some way to hook into it. But I think that would be the first thing that I would love to see, if it can just like get it started into a simulator.
So getting started with the simulator is kind of problematic because if you are asking something to build it, I think that step is still something needs to be done by the developer. Do you think right now that couldn't be done by the AI agent? Like they can't just run the commands, right? They could tell you which command you need to run in order to check the proper setup into running this, and then maybe help you debug
Sure.
it. That is something they could do.
So yeah, I mean, it could run the install and the run commands. There's some like hooks. It's not non-interactive, but we do like support flags for everything. It could be non-interactive. Technically, it could be non-interactive. Because like if you do npm, or I'm sorry, native run iOS, the first thing it's going to do is say, all right, what device do you want to run this on? If you pass that device ID, it won't ask you that. It'll just continue with the run. So, and that's the last interactive step. So you could pass that in, or we could get it up to that point and then say, all right, go ahead and run the run command and, see it running.
Yeah. Yeah. So for now, in order to see that, what should we do? Like, npm run native PHP.
No, not npm. So this would be just native /native. So did you do the install command yet or no?
Yeah, I have already done it.
So then native run.
Okay.
/native run.
It's asking me Android or iOS. I should select iOS. I think it's a same command, PHP artisan native colon run, right?
Yeah, it's a wrapper. The native is a wrapper, or like
I think which one will be the like this lightweight simulator? Which should I run here?
Yeah, any of them is fine, I think.
Okay, perfect. Let's see how much time it takes to build that this time.
We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I think it has also created a plan for us. Okay, okay, okay. So we
Send,
are
send.
we have already
The
provided it to the current guidelines and then asked us to build like a skill of sorts. Let me gonna just wipe code that skill without looking at what exactly it's trying to build. Let's see what exactly it's built first, and then we're gonna see do we need to improve it or do we not need to improve it. And
so
why also I want yeah, go ahead, Punyapal.
the free plugins come by default comes with the native PHP Air or mobile Air, or you need to install it manually after installing mobile Air.
I will post the link to the docs in the chat so you can see.
Um,
You have to add it to your Vite config.
Mhm.
It's not necessary. It's not necessary for Livewire apps, but it would be. You want the hot module reloading. Even with Livewire, we do hot module reloading. So that's watching the CSS changes, Tailwind changes, and all that stuff, and it's recompiling. And we're pushing that stuff over. So you do want that for anytime you're doing hot module reloading. But this does take some time, Pushpak, just so you know. And you've not run this before,
Okay.
have you?
No, I think this is the first time I'm gonna run.
So what I recommend the first time, because it has to install a lot of stuff. Actually, it's gonna be fun. If you copy that, see where it says build log. If you copy that whole line, open up another terminal instance, and tail that, just tail-f that file. We'll see some progress there.
Yeah, it's taking time to load that one as well.
Yep,
Like,
it's gonna take some time. There's a user question here that I don't understand. So would you leave that repo on GitHub openly? I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Maybe what we are building right now, or you
I
can just
don't
announce
think so.
it that native PHP is free right now.
If we are able to build the skill successfully at the end of this stream, I think I'm gonna just create a PR to NativePHP repo itself.
Which is open now. It's free and open
Yeah.
source. Happy days.
Gosh, it's taking so much time.
Yep.
Even the load on the CPU is not that much. It's still taking, like, I think the Chrome, I think this reverse side is only mostly taking most of the stuff. So yeah, that makes sense.
So another way to do this, and I don't love this as a solution, but if this is really, you don't know if it's hanging. I mean, it probably is, but we don't know that. So I would stop the tail, and then I would run a command. It's native./native open, and that's going to open Xcode, and that's going to be another. How much memory do you have on this computer?
I have 16 gigs of RAM.
Oh God! All right,
it's
cool.
Not enough.
Well, we're doing a lot. You're doing the live stream. You're sharing your screen and camera, and we're running these processes. And now we're going to do some Xcode. We're going to open Xcode. It's very, very intensive, very RAM intensive. So it's not that it's not enough. It's that we're doing a lot of other things too.
Right. Even my Z shell is not even to start correctly. Like, I don't know. Is it because of this? I'm just gonna allow it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
It's adding the skills now.
Oh, it changed everything to version 3. That's great.
Okay. So the first thing it basically built is available docs as a referencer, and it's not into part of main skills. So it's not whenever it's gonna reference a skill file, it's gonna use the reference file whenever it's needed, not all the time it's loaded. So you will end up saving a lot much context, and you can put a lot of things by this way, where it just posting a lot of stuff into reference. Like, for example, like very specific stuff about how to use plugin, how to use all sort of small stuff like any native stuff. Like you think like this is not needed as a main skill, then you could just defer it as a progressive disclosure into some another reference file. So that's also something we could do, and I think it's able to build a okay. So it's a correct documentation. So only the documentation is only the version number is changed into the documentation guide, right?
For most of the docs, yes, that's true.
Okay, perfect. That's great to hear then. Remove the entire notification mobile extension or subscribe by line. Okay, let's see anything else. Okay, it has built like the first version of the iteration though, like how exactly what we need. I'm not sure how much is the duplicated stuff from the previous stuff. So let's first look at it. When do we need to like build native iOS Android app with native PHP mobile, which we activate when using native device APIs, edge components, deep link, secure storage, or mobile app development. I think this is a correct description of sort like if someone wants to use this skill.
Yep.
And I would say instead of native PHP skill, I would change the name to something third person, like native PHP development or something like that. So it would be much better in that sense because then it's able to figure it out. That this is I have to invoke whenever I have to run native PHP stuff.
I would say, can we prefix that with mobile as well? Because we do desktop, and you're not going to do that. We don't recommend people do it in the same Laravel repo in the same project, but or maybe native PHP mobile development.
Yeah, that could be done. Mobile native PHP development or development native PHP mobile, that's also something could be done.
Or, yeah. Sure. Let's do it.
Native. I just the name is sounding weird. Development native PHP mobile, or maybe it should be in third party from the Jrun 4 or something. So let's look at it. Like I think that's not a big worry of sort. So environment detection is something which is like the thing which we are talking about. Like all sort of stuff are very specific to each environment what you are trying to run it. Here, yes, exactly. So examine the code base, look for the plate file with wire directive, and it's able to figure it out if the inertia.js or the package.json is correctly required or not. Anything is okay. So can build and run both iOS and Android. Can only build for online iOS requires macOS with Xcode. Okay. When on Windows, Linux never suggest PHP Artisan native run iOS, native iOS. And is this correct one, right? I think
yeah, because you can't do iOS development. Yeah.
Yeah, it has just. Was this part of the previous guidelines though?
I think so. It should have been.
Okay, perfect. Required environment variable, development workflow. Most of the stuff is there. Common pitfall.
Could you see if it says anything about the Vite plugin stuff?
Yeah, HMR with white works automatically when bun. Okay, it's bun run dev, but I think it should be npm run dev.
But also like updating the Vite config.
It's not saying anything about that on the. So we have to. It was there in the previous one though.
No, it might not have been, honestly, because this was the last time I updated it was a while ago, so it might not have been in that.
So I think that that could be part of common pitfalls, like where I could find it.
There's there's in the chat for Riverside, I posted a it's up a little bit. There's a doc for that.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good job, Puni.
So this is something which needs to be done in order to build the white plugin. Okay.
Correct.
Yes, perfect. Let me just ask it to add that thing. Okay, so this failed. I'm not sure why did it fail though. It's
All right.
some weird dependency issue. So
Well, we
even though
installed the CocoaPods, right?
yes, we have installed the CocoaPods.
At this point, I would open up the project in Xcode. That's what I would. And sometimes the very first time you do any development like this, you do have to. It's been so long since I've done it, so I don't know how much has changed in that regard. But you can run the app from once it's built. So it has to be built. The files have to have been generated, and it can be in a state like this. And so that's what I would suggest at this point, is to open this up in Xcode. And we have a command to open it up in Xcode.
Yeah, what's that?
So it's /native open. And then it'll ask you iOS or Android.
Oh, nice.
It detected it, yeah.
Yeah, let's trace, I think, if it's not able to work it correctly. I'm just gonna can you add this to common pitfalls section? So now there are a lot of things which you could come across when things like this happen. We can also make it part of the common pitfall section. Like whenever you face this kind of issues, just run this or just look at this documentation. So all this sort of stuff is something have to be done. So that's there. So currently the first version of skill is, I think it's very good. It's something which I would say it's same as the current guidelines of sorts, with much more optimized. So it's not loaded every single time. Still, into the current guidelines, we have to kind of like shorten them and make them like a very, very specific. Instead of adding all this stuff, like we just have to make sure like this kind of stuff, like this application uses native PHP mobile, which is this application, like here also. Instead of that, this application uses native PHP mobile, which is Laravel package that enables developers to build iOS Android application using PHP and native UI components. Native PHP mobile run on full PHP runtime directly on the device with SQLite. No web server required. That's correct. Are there any specific commands which you can just like, I think native.run, right? To run, just to see like every single time it has to run, it doesn't need to go to the skill and then see how should I run this project. Like if you just ask how should I run this project, it shouldn't invoke the skills every single time. That information can be passed as a guidelines or something like that. So like I would just remove that, add it like to run this project, run .native run.
I would say not that. So because the very first command is native install, you can't run /native install because the install creates the bash the script file for /native. So it's okay if AI is always running PHP artisan native :run or whatever. That's okay. You know, it's a shortcut for us, but they don't really need a shortcut, I think, in that regard.
So you are saying that PHP artisan native run is also something which they could run. So
yeah,
how, like there should be some couple of commands, like how to install project, maybe PHP artisan native install to install the project, PHP artisan native run to run the commands. are there any specific commands like some debug commands or something like that which we could add to the guidelines?
Debug, no. Debugging is done very differently.
Yeah.
That's a different topic altogether. But there is like open. Open is a good command if you're really stuck. And we try not to have to do that. So I wouldn't even want to instruct actually AI in that. But it could save somebody a bunch of time, honestly. So that's hard to.
But
Go ahead.
if that's a hanging command, then it's gonna create a lot of problems for AI, because then it's just gonna stop the execution until that loops out or like gets out of it, right? Yeah, they can just figure it out. If it's a hanging command, then they're just gonna stop it, and the moment they stop it, the simulator gonna close again. So that's just not a good experience. It's gonna spend up
That's
lot
true.
many tokens inside it. So in order to that, we can just say that never run this kind of commands yourself. Always ask user to run it on a separate terminal process or something like that. So that way, AI should never run those commands, and just ask whenever it wanted to run that, it will just ask, can you please run this command on some terminal just to uh, how to run this project or something like that. So that's there, right?
Yeah.
So what all those commands? Never run these commands.
Yeah, I guess then open package.
This .native open.
Yeah, let me look at them real quick so I can. Yeah, build, you don't need to run. There's a lot of commands that we ship with that you just don't ever have to run.
Or if we could then say like what exactly AI agent can run so that they can move very faster, like only this run this command instead of don't run any native PHP specific commands. We could say it inversely then.
Yeah, so I would do, I mean, run is okay. Watch is okay.
Okay, watch is okay. But watch is also hanging, right? Watch is also hanging command, right?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that just idles. Yeah. So maybe not watch. The other one was
any commands to build that the one which you mentioned, the one run build on that iOS --iOS command. This one.
Yep.
This is
those are good.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna roughly list them, like which are the one which are allowed, which are the one which are not allowed. I think something go crash, I think, because of this.
That would have been, let me see.
The project NativePHP is damaged and cannot be opened due to parse error.
So that's okay. So, I mean, sometimes it will do this and it's like a false error, but is Xcode open currently?
Yeah.
So go to Xcode real quick. So it's not on that project. So let's just open. I can tell you where it is. So if you go into this project in Xcode, so you're going to open a project in Xcode. I'll show you right where it's at. It's inside of there. No. You have to go deeper.
Is it? I don't have to open this stuff here.
No, close that. Get out of there. It's deeper. You have to go deeper than that.
Okay. Open.
Go inside of that file, that directory, and then there's a native PHP directory, and then there's an iOS directory, and then go inside there. Yeah, so right here, just click open. Open.
Okay, this one.
Yeah. All right. So that is, so what I would do in this case, it seems like it got corrupted someplace in a run command someplace. So I would do a force install dash, like install -f, which will capital F, which will delete that directory completely and then reinstall everything. Capital F. Maybe lowercase will work. Yeah. Nope. There we go.
Okay, fine, understood. So this is there. So this is the allow list for us, like npm run build mode iOS, npm run build Android. Anything else do you think of?
I mean,
This is to build the project. So how does the life cycle work for the native PHP application? Like if I'm like building, I have installed, set up everything, and everything works on my machine. Now I have closed the project and I'm coming it for the second time. What is exactly the life cycle which I should follow? For example, now I have to make some changes. Like what exactly I will do? I will run I will run native PHP run command. I will run this npm run build -- mode iOS command. What exactly will happen?
so I would, if you're doing, it depends. So that's a good question. So if you are doing the watch command, or it's like run -w is what I like to do. So that would be interactive. So you don't want to do that from AI, but you don't have to do the run build command because it's going to do a run dev instead, and it's going to watch those files for changes. So you don't have to do a build first. You would just do native. This is so, like, it's so confusing. There's so many different like gotchas inside of this. So if you're coming into this for the second time, I would just do native run or iOS. And if I want to do a watch file, I'm sorry, I would do, if again, if you're going to do watch, if you're coming into this to develop and you want to do the watch command, I would just do n run or native run I for iOS or A for Android, and then -w. But if you're not, then you have to run build first. And then it depends if you're going to do this on iOS or Android, because that needs to build those files again for you.
Okay, and okay, that makes sense. So if I'm already running the watcher mode, then my agent doesn't need to build a file. Even if I run the watcher mode and if I run this npm run build command, will anything happen or no? Like I want
Say
to
it
ask
again.
that also.
Which ones?
If I'm running already a watch command native run -w, and then if I run npm run build -- mode iOS on the another hand, will it cause any complications of sorts or not?
While it's running, you don't want to do that.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
So the watch command is watching those files for any updates. I mean, technically, that gets, no, you just would never do that. There's no reason to ever do that.
Okay. Okay. So I was asking, like, if someone is running the watcher separately and then AI agent just run this npm run build command, then it will just gonna create lot much complex
Yeah, don't do
scenarios.
that.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to just tell AI that never run any build step, never do anything. Always ask user to run this way, or always ask user to do any specific stuff. Never never run build command, never run watch command. All sort of stuff is like very bad for you. Whenever user asks how to run this or how to do this, you just tell this way. Just tell maybe native open or native watch is the correct way to do it, and native run build is to basically the build command, like build and view it in an iOS application. So I think that makes sense for me now, and for agents also it's gonna make sense. So never run any sort of build command, watch command, or run any native PHP command to run application, to run watch and debug the application. I'm just typing this on a roughly basis, so I'm gonna TD up a little bit afterwards once we are done. So that's there. We don't need this, and everything looks correct now. So I think agent should never nudge in, always and just tell the user that user manually. It's so manually that you have to run this commands for building. So this is something it's a very important thing. So if anytime agents run this, then we're gonna get screwed. So that's one instruction is something we should be able to do it. I would also say this also here, I would add extra specific section about activate the skills, activate the, what is the skill name? Native PHP skill, I think. We changed the skill name. Activate the development native PHP mobile skill every single time you are building native PHP functionality. So this is also one thing. So that what I have noticed, right? If you just add a skill and you don't mention anything into your rules file that there is a native PHP skill is there, most of the time it's not going to invoke the skill. And if the skill is not invoked, the entire output will be much, much, much worse. What I am telling that to AI is that whenever you have to work with something, we have to refine that sentence a little bit. But whenever you have to work with any native PHP stuff, always look for the skill and always invoke the skill, and so that you have updated knowledge. So that's there. Now I think in terms of the good thing, I think this is enough. Like in terms for the guidelines, this kind of stuff is enough. Now we gonna move to the skill stuff where we have like a lot of stuff like what we could actually move to any other like reference file or something, or which is actually missing at this point. Like, do you feel any specific native PHP v3 stuff you have deprecated from v2 or have added into specifically to the v3?
Yeah, so the only big difference in terms of development for V3 from V2 is that we're using plugins now instead of like they're not built in. So you have to do a composer require for QR code scanner, for microphone, for camera, for all of the things. And those are updated in the documentation. They should be, at least. If you go into the plugins, let me look real quick. Plugins and then core plugins. And so it used to be under an APIs section. Now they're inside of the core plugins under plugins. And then it will just take you to the plugin page when you click on those. So that plugin page does have, I don't think we're rendering markdown from that. We are not. So you can't just like do .md on the plugin payment or the plugin page.
So what we could do is we could just ask Claude to look at this plugin pages, go through each and them and create kind of a reference file into somewhere in the skills, so that whenever you have to implement plugins of sort, they can, instead of just coming here, they can just reference that and just quickly see this stuff, like what is exactly the name and all sort of stuff. All this kind of stuff, I would say we would just add a URL or something, and you should definitely add .md folders, .md markdown support for this page, so that AI agents can get that information whenever they have to implement this plugin. This is something you should do. That's there. I think that makes sense. I think the plugin section is still missing here. Plugin section. Then what exactly do you think? What exactly other stuff do you think which is still missing apart from this?
No, that's the only changes that we made from V2 to V3. The APIs are now in separate plugins. And plugins are a whole separate scenario, but that's the biggest. I think those are the only real changes. I'm trying to think. Yeah, that was it. That was it. We didn't do any major updates after that.
Okay, and things like this app icons and everything, have you mentioned this properly into your documentation guidelines? Like, this is something we have to double check in terms of how exactly this has been added correctly or not. But does this follow the LLMs.text structure, the website, the LLM, the native PHP website? Does this follow that?
Does it follow what? What do you mean?
There is this structure called llms.txt. So if you add on any website llms.txt file, it just basically gives you the markdown version of it. For example, onto the cloud is Laravel cloud, it's there.
I don't know anything about this. Well, you can do just .md.
Yeah, so if I just show you quickly, how does that work? llm.txt. That's there, by the way, on the Prism as well. llms.txt. Yeah. So you get a complete up-to-date markdown reference of each and every documentation on your website.
Is that better than just an MD file?
It's just references the correct documentation. So whatever the documentation you have on each page, you can just reference it on. For example,
are you saying on the root of the domain? Is that what you mean?
exactly. So like
Oh, that's
if I
cool.
just added that getting started.md, then what could happen here is agents can figure out like which documentation they need to parse correctly instead of just looking at them randomly. Because right now, what will happen is in our available docs, MD, we have a description of sort, but it's not very good. Do you think it's a correct, accurate descriptions of as per the website?
Say that again.
Do you think this description in front of each of this website is correct and up to date? So,
I mean,
for example,
yeah. So, well, no, that's not actually, because it's not the API's geolocation anymore. It's inside of the plugins.
exactly. So I think this is something we have to kind of go through each and every page and kind of make sure that this corrects to a correct page. Or you could just, if you're using any static site generator to build this application website, docs website, then I think there will be a plugin to kind of provide you out of the box. So you don't have to do this hard work every single time there is a new structure of your applications of sorts. So that's there. You just can take a look at it. Other thing I wanted to ask, like if not website, is there a way I can just explore the docs easily? For example, is this search ideally built, or like can I just use this search to search on this directly, like dynamically, something like this? For example, maybe I pass it like query and something like this. Will it work? No, right?
So I don't like our current implementation of Algolia. That is something that we know we need to work on. The reason why is because if you search for something, it can pull up desktop documentation instead of mobile documentation, or it might even pull up V2 possibly. I don't know if we even re-index those. So that's something that I've not ever touched before. And it's something that I want fixed badly.
No. So why I am saying this is you could also teach AI how to search on the documentation. So instead of fetching all those documentation every single time, bloating the context, they can just intelligently add some kind of a query where like you can just add it to your website. Like if you want to search for any documentation of sort, and you can just ask Q is equal to something like that, and maybe and format is equal to MD or something like that. If you just do that, then you can just get the documentation related to what you have searched. If you build that, then that way agents can just quickly call any information, and then they will be able to implement that correctly. So that's why I was saying that. But
let me look this up real quick. We don't have that. So this is not like we're not using some static site builder or anything like that. This is all just like markdown files that we've, for as much as I know, it's just markdown files that we've implemented. But I did create an MCP server just a couple of weeks ago, because I was using it inside of, there's some plugin that I made, and I'm trying to remember where. Let me see where the URL is for that. one moment. My computer's also going a little bit slow. Still looking here.
So if you are able to like make a MCP server out of it, that's fine. Like agents feed some way to basically filter that documentation information. You can maybe like what I'm doing in Prism right now at the moment, instead of putting docs behind the URL, which is kind of a weird way, because then it has to fetch the entire documentation and then figure out which is a related stuff. So there is like a lot of context which just unnecessary gets added.
I see. So like the LLMs.txt would be the best. It could even query against that at the very least, right?
Yeah, it could. It could just fetch it and then semantically search on that specific document. And right now, what I am doing with the Prism is I've just copied the docs which are in the Markdown folder directly into the vendor folder. So whenever you install the Prism, you also get the docs directly into your vendor folder, and then agents can just query those docs directly using semantic search instead of searching it. They can just ask it like on the vendor folder how I can implement this specific stuff, and then they will get the answer correctly. So that's also there is something which I think could be done.
Yeah. SSE. Yeah, we got a lot of work to do here. So yeah, if you do a post request, there's a URL. It's API MCP message. But you have to do a post request to get there.
So basically, could it make a part of a curl, basically GET request, so that at least simple curl can fetch that instead of doing a post request? But
yeah, I don't know why it's set up as a post. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's something as a next step we could do. But for now, I think the things are looking good. Now there are a lot of other things I feel would be part of this entire skill things. Like in terms of the docs, right? Whenever there is a specific stuff which is being handled, for example, like the security stuff, this could be like a new reference section into your skill itself. Like whenever you have to make sure any security related stuff, always look at the security doc. And I would say instead of adding all this stuff duplicately onto your system, just tell them that whenever you have to fix the security, always look at this docs. Because then you have to otherwise maintain the docs at the same time the skills as well. So that is extra maintenance for you.
Right.
But very specific stuff like which needed there, you should add it as a skill, like which shouldn't be missed, or like which is very important of sorts, then you shouldn't miss that.
I mean, what if we did like, I like the LLMs.txt file. And what if we had like a scheduled job that's just a cron every day or every week or something? It's just looking at the docs and adjusting. We feed that data into some LLM someplace that's updating that text file for us. Is that a good?
Yeah, I think so. Like, yes, if you have something, you can just send the structure of URL available onto your docs website to LLM with some content of sorts, and then create a LLMs.txt, detailed LLMs.txt file. And you could just host it somewhere on the docs itself, and then we could add this into the part of skills so that whenever LLM has to reference this, they will just go and see which uh, specific thing they needed and what is the URL, and then they will fetch that specific URL. Still, there will be a lot of information, but yeah, that's fine. That's something we could right now work on. Most of the people right now, most of the agents do this in a plan mode so that context doesn't get carried away at the time of the implementation. So that's a good thing. So
might be a good use for Laravel AI SDK too, with a structured output and stuff to create that for us. Shout out Laravel AI SDK.
Yes. So for now, I think we are good in terms of the skills. Like the way I have to do is like couple of iteration to possibly much more filter out, much more following the best practices and all sort of things. What we are cooking. So we are basically building the skills for the native PHP stuff. Currently, there are only guidelines, and we are trying to build the best version of the native PHP stuff. And I feel it will take a little bit of time to get there. So for today, I think whatever the information I needed, like kind of the best practices and all sort of things, I have got it from you. Maybe if we needed another stream, maybe we could do it, but I don't think so. But just looking at the docs, I think the docs are really good source of truth in order to get a lot of information. So I'm just gonna take a look at the docs. I'm just gonna filter out a lot of information and just gonna send the PR to the native PHP repo very soon, so that everyone can use push skill. Other stuff I wanted to ask is the native PHP v2 is kind of completely deprecated and not being used right now at the moment, or is it still being used by a couple of projects or not?
I think there probably are still. We're not telling previous users to stop using it. They don't have to continue using it, but I don't know what percent or how many people are still using V2. I think if they are on V2, they're probably beyond the point where they would need to use AI. At some point, it will be deprecated somehow, some way. We haven't really discussed that internally when or how we were going to go about that, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, and the V2 boost guidelines, even though there's a lot of context there, they do work. So if somebody wants to use those, we're not going to go back and change them, I don't think. We're just going to say from V3 on, this is the way that we're going to manage things.
Yeah, I think that's a good motivation. Like you can just mention that we have added a skill support into V3, and if you want to use, then just upgrade to V3. So I think that's a good thing. I would still just have to go through a lot of things to see what is the correct implementation. What are the, like, sometimes what happens is even if you mention a couple of stuff, if that stuff is not very clearly mentioned to LLM does hallucinate a lot on very little stuff. Like for example, if I'm telling that you could just implement native, like some kind of a plugin this way. If I am not very being too much detailed about it, then LLM can hallucinate a lot over there as well. So we have to be very careful in terms of what context we are passing and how much context we are passing. So if we are passing some context, then we have to pass in the correct information. Otherwise, it's just gonna quickly go off the guards or off the rails very quickly. So that's something we have to do. And maybe once I'm gonna send the PR, you might have to test it on a couple of simple application, couple of application to build the plugins and all sort of way. That way you can just quickly run and see if it's working as expected or not. While building, I have to also do that same kind of thing so that we just don't do any funny stuff. Because that I noticed when I was building inertia skill, right? Even if you mention a couple of stuffs correctly, like you have to use the inertia poll, the new poll instead of the normal earlier poll thing, this still tends to get hallucinate a lot, even if you mention it. So then you have to add much more context, like how does this, like the basic usage of that feature, like how do you use that feature? Like there is some basic example showcasing, or maybe a workflow kind of thing, like always use this, then add this, or this kind of thing. So that's also something which have to like maybe test all kind of scenarios so that we are all good on that. And I would say test it on a kind of a mid-range model instead of like always a state-of-the-art model like Opus 4.5.3. Use some Sonnet 4.5 or some basic model, Kimi K 2.5 or GLM 5, so that you will know if it's able to behave correctly or not.
Here's a question. Does Boost have its own guidelines? So if I'm building out Boost guidelines and tasks, I could use the Boost guidelines to help me generate the Boost guidelines for my third-party application.
So Boost is not adding anything over here in terms of the guidelines of sorts, because Boost just provides the raw guidelines about your Laravel app. It just look at a couple of things, how your Laravel app is structured, and then just compose the guidelines at the moment. It's not add any specific guidelines. It has the guidelines on how to use MCP stuff. So that's there. So Boost MCP is one component of the Boost. Then there is a Boost skills, and then there is a Boost guidelines. So we are not adding anything specific to Boost guidelines or skills into the guidelines. We are just mentioning that this is how you can use MCP stuff with the which comes directly with the Boost, and this is the information about your Laravel app, which is like a very generic information, not very detailed or anything. It's very generic information that this is something you can use, this is something you can use, this is how normal Laravel app works. Basic information, which some LLMs hallucinate a lot. So that's there. So we don't have anything like that. But that's something like it's nothing but like how to teach LLM. Like this is how you should do this stuff, and then you just have to see if it's working or not. So a lot of people just ask me like, do you have a Boost for the package development or not? And I said that if there is a Boost for package development, I will be the most happiest guy, because then I will be able to use that in my day-to-day job, because I have to maintain a lot of packages. But sadly, there is not, because it's very coupled with the Laravel apps of sorts. You have to do a lot of funny stuff to get it work.
Well, it's kind of like that. Like maybe not guideline built into it, but maybe something like a Claude plugin. So like I was saying, like I found a Claude plugin. I installed a plugin that helps me create Claude plugin. So if there was something like that, a Claude plugin that would help me create the Boost guidelines, maybe that would, because there are certain questions and things that you have to, like, what is important for the development? What is important for like eventually it's determining like what things need to be in the core.blade.php in the guidelines versus what ends up in the different skills that you allow it to have.
Yeah, agree. I think that is something we could make it. It's very easy. I don't have right now, but it's very easy. The instructions on how I go ahead and form a new skills of sort, like how I do it. I could just create a skills out of it and just share it. Like you can just build a Boost skill creator of that.
You're working your way out of a job though. Like then what are you gonna do? It's just gonna do everything for you, you know?
Exactly. I think I at some point, I think right now what I'm working at Laravel right now is to create a skill for every single package. Not just currently there are only a couple of packages for which the skills are, but now job is to create all sort of package, like whatever Laravel offers as a first party, we should have a skill for it. And the skill should be pretty solid. It shouldn't be like some very basic skills. Like it should be pretty solid, which should work most of the times and easily able to build a very good application out of the box for you. So that's what I'm planning to do it. And I think that will definitely help me. Like once I have figured out the repetitive knowledge base, I could just create a skill and then just run it and just verify it.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. That'd be cool. That would be cool. I think that'd be helpful for everybody doing this stuff. Just LLMs building LLMs or models building models, skills building skills.
Yes, OpenClaw building its own tools, OpenClaw building its own skills. It seems
Yep.
So I think we are good over here. I think whatever I wanted to understand, I'm pretty much clear. And now I understood how native PHP works and what all things we could add it as a skill, what should we not add as a skill. I would pretty quickly send this as a MR, maybe working on it maybe 1 day or 2 days. After that, you will have my MR for the review. And then maybe if we need stream in between, maybe we could take a look at it and do another stream. But for now, I think we are good.
No, anyway, that'd be really good. I think too, if we had this, if this was in a state where I can do it on my computer, we can look at that because I already have my environment is already pre-configured. We could probably iterate through things a little bit faster, and
Right.
I think that might be. So I'm
Or
willing to
maybe,
do it if you are.
maybe we once I send the MR, I think we could review it on your setup and do streaming over there, and so that everyone can see how we are improving the skill. That I think will work.
Let's go, bro. Let's do it.
Sure. Yeah, perfect.
Sure.
I think Punyapal is not there, or I'm not sure. I'm
He
just
went
able.
fishing.
No, I am.
He
Yeah.
went to the kitchen. He was eating some chat.
No. I was like, I was doing
Sleeping.
some other work, so I just turned off the camera. I was
Okay,
listening to you, but yeah.
and that's great. It was very nice to have you on the Punyapal's channel, Shane. And thanks for Punyapal as well for renting his channel for us.
You know, I didn't say it in the beginning, but thank you guys so much for having me on. It's always a delight, pleasure to speak with you and just in chat and not chat, chat. Just talking to you guys. I enjoy it. So this is a delight.
Our stream is pending though
How's
when
what?
we are planning. Our stream is pending. Our
I
stream,
don't know.
I mean,
Punyapal is asking basically, he has like you guys has to do a native PHP.
yeah.
Oh, we lost
Oh my
pushback.
gosh.
Oh no.
Okay. So what I was saying is, oh, he's back. I'm saying that we have planned one stream, right? When he was in India.
Yeah. We'll do it again too. I think that it's good if Pushback wants to work on this and in a couple days, you want to work on this some more. I'm fine with it. Let's do it.
Not talking about that, like native PHP v3 in action or something like that. Hmm. Okay. We will,
Missed it.
yeah. So we'll
Sorry,
talk
you broke
about
up
it
there.
on
What
Telegram.
say what you said.
Oh, so something about native PHP. Yeah.
What about it?
Hmm?
What about it? I don't understand what you're asking me right now.
Are you kidding me?
No. What do you
So we
say?
have planned for one stream, right? When you were in the Laravel India,
Yeah.
that we were gonna do V3 stream,
Yeah.
native PHP V3 stream. I mean,
What kind of stream for V3? What do you want to do?
we can plan something.
Yeah, let's plan something.
Maybe building something.
Maybe
I don't
building
know.
an app. Let's build an app V3.
Yeah.
I know that like right now one of the biggest things for us is education. So now that it's free and open source, a lot of people are very excited about it. I want to make sure that everybody's having a good experience, a good first experience.
Yeah.
That's very important. And if they don't have a good first experience, they're willing to come back and give it another shot with a little bit more education. So we don't have anything official announced yet, but we've been saying this for a long time. We're going to be working on a video course very, very soon. We have Laracon EU in a couple weeks, and when we get back from that, we're going to be working a lot on Bifrost, and we're going to be working a lot on the video course. So that should be coming out probably within 4 to 6 weeks. I would imagine we'll have something ready to start going over for that, because it's very important for people to understand just getting things set up and running, and then some more advanced stuff, and then building their own plugins and using plugins and all of the stuff that we can do. So it'll be cool.
Yeah. I still get messages like when native PHP will be free. People
You
still
still
not
get
aware that it's already. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Many is
Well,
also asking like, let's build something on a. So let's do it soon.
we did a post. It was really funny. We did a post yesterday, I think it was, with a video that we had, like a little commercial thing that we did for it. And we had announced this at Laracon India. We had Laravel News announcement go out. We announced from our own channel at the same time from Laracon India. But we put this out and it got hundreds of likes, and so many people like, oh my God, finally. And like, what's native PHP? And like so many more people coming into it now. It's like, well, okay, we'll just keep saying it. Let's just keep saying it. Why not? So yeah, we got to get the word out there. We're looking for like a mass adoption. There's according to Google, there's like 8 million PHP developers. I would say it's 30 to 50% somewhere in there that are Laravel developers. That's a lot of people, and we're not capitalizing on all of those, or even a good percent of those people. And we know people want to build mobile apps. They don't even realize they can just use Laravel now to build them. So
Oh yeah.
just a matter of time.
Okay. So I think it's time. We can say bye to the audience.
Goodbye,
Thanks for
everybody. Thanks
joining
for
and
having me.
thanks to be till that.